Okay. So this is our third class. This is our third mentorship class, in the Understanding the Royalq bot series. So I hope for those who missed out the other two, you're actually finding time. You're going to be finding time to go and check through. So we already discussed a lot with regards to the home page and all the features that are found in and what the application is. So today, as we agreed on in the other previous class, that today we're going to dive into, especially looking at the parameters when it comes to setting up the signal dropped in the group, or when you just want to start up a trade. There are certain things that you need to know. So, and today that's what we're going to look at, because in each coin, there are parameters that probably you may either adjust or leave them the way they are, but you need to understand what they mean, okay, or what their function is, because at a later time we shall see that actually those parameters can be manipulated in a way to help you maximize profit. And at the same time, it can also be manipulated to help you close up a trade once a particular percentage take profit is hit, you know, and when you want to do a manual replenishment, or when you want to do an automatic replenishment. So there are a lot of things that we need to know with regards to the parameters when it comes to setting up the coin trade. Now, I'm going to pick any coin, all right? Then we check through and go through some of the things, that some of those parameters, and we know what they mean, and then we see how we can adjust them. So which coin can I pick? Probably I could pick WLD, World Coin. Now, I'm trusting that you already know how to set up coins, to set up trade or to start up trade. So I'm just going to go specifically on the coin, okay? So I want to go about this other part. I'll just go to create bot, Martingale strategy bot, and then I go to feel free to create your own strategy. Now, when it comes to the parameter on individual coins, now this is a parameter, this is a default setting, this is a parameter that is for all the coins. Whenever you open a coin, you find these features, all right? These features. So these are the features that you need to understand what they mean and what their function are, okay? So I'm going to begin with this part. Allow me begin with this part. Allow me begin with this first page, or the first space, which we're seeing here. And now we have this. We have this part, written position amount. Now, we said the other time that, we have those three markets, the USDT market, which for you to trade in the USDT market, you just simply need USDT, okay? That is what you need to trade other coins on the sports market. So here, the position amount refers to the amount of USDT that is on the coin, all right? That is what it means, position amount. Okay, sorry for that abrupt break. So the position amount refers to the amount of USDT that is on that coin. That is on the coin you're trading, yeah? Like in this case, because we have not started up a trade, at the moment, the position amount is 0, meaning there's no USDT still on the coin because we haven't started yet, okay? But when we start a trade, depending on how much we had set or what wished the robot to pick and use in the market, we shall see the amount of USDT the robot has picked and placed on the coin here, reflected here. Okay, you'll see the figure there. So that's what position amount is. So when people are talking about position amount, they are actually referring to the amount of USDT on the coin. Those are the terminologies we shall be using, especially for you who uses Royalq. The other one is what we call position quantity. Position quantity refers to the number of coins or the quantity of coins that would have been bought using whatever amount that is here. For example, if here the position amount was, for instance, $100, now depending on the price of the coin, the amount which the position, the amount which this USDT, the amount of coins that this USDT will buy is going to be reflected here. Okay? You get that? So like, for example, if here we had $100 and each coin, like at the moment for WLD, each coin is trading at $7.122. So meaning if you have $100, that will be roughly about six, about how many coins? About 60 something coins, 60 something, close to 70 something coins. Yeah. Yeah, because if one coin is going for if one coin is costing $7, that means $100 would possibly give us something. I don't know what that would be. Let me first try to do the calculation. Let's try to do the calculation. We see we're dividing. We're dividing $100 by 7. Divide by 7.122. So that will be around 14 coins, 14 WLD coins. So the 14.04 would be actually the number of coins that was bought using the $100. Okay, that's what it simply means. So here, position quantity refers to the number of coins that has been bought using the position amount stated above. Okay, so that's what it means. Now, we're done with that. And then when it comes to current price simply stands for the price of that coin, the price at which that coin is trading at that very time you're seeing. Like at the moment, this very time you're seeing, Worldcoin is trading at 7.163. The price is fluctuating. It's not static. It's stable. It's fluctuating. So it's just around there, but we know it is around $7 point something. That is the price at which Worldcoin is trading at. So that's the current price, simply refers to that. Average price. Average price refers to an established price. All right, is that price that has been established, which is sort of like a benchmark. Okay, you get it by dividing the quantity vis-a-vis the amount. Okay, the quantity of coins bought by the position amount, it will give you the average price. Okay, so you divide by amount. It will give you the average price. You get that? Okay. So the average price simply, that is that. So it's just like we discussed the other time, it becomes like the benchmark over which, once the current price goes above the average price, as we said the other time, you'll be floating in profit. But if the average price, if this current price is below the average price, you'll be floating in a loss. So you'll be in a floating loss. So you have floating loss and floating profit. But the determinant is the average price. So the price has to play between above or below the average price for you to be either in profit or in a loss. Okay. Then number of call margin. Now, the number of call margin here would simply refer to the number of times that the robot so far has executed buy orders. Okay. How many times has the robot bought? That is what is always reflected here. Okay. Now, this one here is not the number of call margin does not include the initial entry. that amount which the robot starts with a trade is not included in the number of call margin. All right? The number of call margin is this, the robot starts counting the number of call margin when it buys the first call. So it is from the first call. That initial entry, that amount which upon starting your robot, all right, the robot picks to put on that particular coin is not part of the number of call margin. The number of call margin starts from the first call. So when the robot executes the first call, or it buys the first call, you will see here written 1. If it buys the second call, it will change to 2, like that. So it has to start from the first call. It excludes that initial entry amount. Okay? So that is what it simply means. So it refers to the number of times the robot has so far bought. Because remember, your intention of entering the market was you wanted to enter the market so that the market price can rise, so that you can, exit at a profit. But this time, instead of the market price rising, the market price has gone against you. Instead, it has dipped. Now, because you had set your parameter that whenever it dips by some percentage, you want the robot to buy, whenever it buys, it will tell you that it bought. Now, this is the first time. If you continue dipping and it buys again, it will tell you it has bought the second time. So it is in that order. So it will always state what it has done. Okay? So that is what it simply means. Now, the return rate, like we said the other time, return rate refers to the percentage of either floating profit or floating loss. That is what the return rate is. It refers to the percentage of floating profit or floating loss. In other words, it refers to how high, let's assume this is our average price. It refers to how high the coin has risen in in profit, or how low the coin has depreciated from the average price in terms of price, right? So it refers to the percentage of how deep or how high the market price has risen from the average price. Okay, so it is the determinant in terms of that. So the return rate, that is what it means. It refers to how high the market price has risen above the average price, or how low the market price has dipped below the average price. So whenever it has dipped below the average price, you'll see a negative there, and of course with a figure. If it is above, you'll see a plus, right? Meaning it is above the average price. So you'll see a plus sign. And then what will follow will be the figure stating how high it has risen. Okay? If it has risen by 2%, you'll see a +2. If it has depreciated by -2, you'll see a -2 there. It has depreciated 2% below the average price. All right. Okay. I hope this person mutes him or herself. Whenever you join, and then probably find you may have a noisy background. There's a request. You mute yourself, okay? So that we don't interrupt the class. Okay. So that is the return rate. Now, when it comes to this part, the sell icon and then the buy icon. The sell, first of all, the sell icon serves one purpose. One, there are moments when the market price may rise significantly by good percentage. In other words, there may be a time where you will float in profit. But then you may realize that the market price may not really go so high, all right? It may not really go so far, and it will in turn begin reversing and having a downtrend. So the best you could do is, if you had set, let's say 5%, and you're seeing that there's no chance of the market price rising by 5%, but you're already floating in profit, you may decide to close your trade. As long as you're floating in profit, you may decide to close your trade. Now, when you want to close your trade, when you don't want to be without making adjustments, because sometimes you may set 5% and then you find your coin is floating in profit of, let's say, 3%. but you don't want to adjust from 5% to 3%. You just want exactly that. What you could do to shorten the process, you just come here on the sell icon. You tap on the sell icon, and then depending on what your strategy mode is, if it is in the wall warehouse, you can actually determine the percentage of the coins you would wish to sell, because you can determine, you can actually tell. Do you want to sell all, or you want to sell 50%, or you want to sell 75% together? Okay. Sorry, Rosalind, I've removed you. I thought you understood the rule of the class. So if you cannot mute, probably I'll remove you. And you know, when you've been removed, you cannot rejoin. So let's just behave so that we don't waste each other's time. Okay. Yeah. So the sell icon is purposely for that. It is to sell off when you find yourself floating in profit. Now you can sell off either all or parts, depending on what the strategy mode is. Now, sometimes you may float in profit, and then you find your strategy mode is in the wall warehouse mode. If you are in the wall warehouse mode, for example, if your strategy mode is on this here, you are free to sell this coin in percentages. You may decide not to sell all. You can just decide to say, I'm going to sell maybe 50% or 20% or 75%. Okay. Or if you want to sell all the coins at that particular floating profit, you can as well sell. You just tap on 100% and then you confirm. You get that? So that is it. That is what exactly happened. Now, if it is in the sub-bin mode or sub-bin mode real-time settlement, what you could do there is that you cannot now determine the percentage of the coins you would wish to sell. You can just, once you tap on the sell, you can sell literally everything. Okay. So as long as you're floating in profit, there's no problem. You can sell it off. So the sell icon purposely is for that, to allow you sell manually. You get that? And when you sell manually, it will also reflect that you sold manually. You get that? So that is what it simply means. That you can sell manually. The buy icon is used also for two purposes. One, okay, basically it is for one. It is for someone who would want to do a manual replenishment. Manual replenishment is intended to do two things. One, to reduce the floating loss. Two, to allow you buy more of the coins when the price is so down. Okay, so you may use the buy icon if you want to replenish manually with an intention of reducing your floating loss, but at the same time of acquiring more coins for less, when it is cheap. And remember, the more the coins, the more the profit. It's not about the percentage, it's about the quantity of coins. The more the coins, the more the profit, right? Yeah, so you may want to do these two things. So you can come here and use the buy icon. Much as you can as well set your parameters to allow the robot do it for you automatically, which is called automatic replenishment. But sometimes you can't help and you would wish to do it manually. So if you want to do it manually, you come and tap on buy. You use the buy icon like that. Okay. Now you cannot use it without, when you don't have a trade running. A trade must be running for you to buy manually. Okay. There must be positions on the coin. Right? So I'm just giving you that overview that some of the things we shall do it practically or in detail. Okay, so you can use the buy. Now, the strategy mode. the strategy mode, this part, the strategy mode. Now the strategy mode, there are three strategy modes. There is the wall warehouse mode, and then there is the sub-bin mode, and then the sub-bin mode real-time settlement. The wall warehouse mode, once you set your robot and you leave it in the wall warehouse mode, what is going to happen is it is an instruction you would have given the robot that whatever position you buy, irrespective of how many times you bought it, whether it is 100 or 50 or whatever it is, when you're going to sell these coins, sell them as a whole, sell them wholesale, sell them wholesomely, sell them at once as a single unit. Okay, so when your strategy mode is in the whole warehouse mode, expect the robot to sell and clear everything at once. Now, this one affects those people whose robot may buy more than one time, more than 4 times. Let's say it goes to 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, and you were expecting sub-sell. Once your strategy mode is in the whole warehouse, don't expect sub-sell, just expect sells. Okay? And once the robot buys more than 4 times, let's say from 5 times, you can no longer change the strategy mode. All right. Once the robot buys the 5th call and your strategy mode is still on wall warehouse mode, forget, because you're not going to make adjustments. So you shouldn't expect any sub-sell. This is a scenario where now the manual replenishment become key, because now here you cannot use automatic replenishment. Well, you can use automatic, but manual works better when your strategy mode is in one warehouse mode. Yeah, because you're not expecting a sub-sell. So here, the robot will treat every position as a single unit, even if it buys 100 times. When it is selling, it will only sell at the intended take profit that was set. Once it is hit, that's when it will sell, and it clears out everything at the work. When your strategy mode is in the sub-bin mode, here, once the robot buys the 1st call to the 4th call, it will treat everything as it is in the wall warehouse mode. It will treat them as a single unit. But from the 5th call onwards, whenever the robot buys and then it sells, okay? Whenever the robot buys and it sells, the profit realized is not going to reflect on your revenue portal. The profit realized will be incorporated in the coin, will remain in the coin. And the intention of it remaining in the coin is to continue reducing the floating loss, is to close the gap between the average price and the price of that coin, which is resulting into it floating in a loss. Okay, so it will be intended to first of all reduce the floating loss. So the amount that the robot has used for buying it, once it sells, that amount will not come back. It won't come back to your Sports wallet. It will remain on the coin, including the profit realized after the sale. All will remain in the coin, right? And it is to serve 2 purposes: to continue reducing the floating loss in case you were floating in a loss, and at the same time basically that is that, to reduce the floating loss. Okay, that is the intention. But here, and whenever the robot buys here, assume the floating loss was 5% negative, right? And then your strategy mode is in the sub-bin mode. Let's assume you use $100, and then the floating loss reduced from -5 to -3%. Whenever the robot sells, okay? Whenever the robot sells, this percentage will not go back to -5. Why? Because no position will be taken off from the coin. The position will remain, the position amount will remain on the coin. So instead, because of the profit realized, and because nothing has changed so much, because the position has not been taken back to sports wallet, this percentage will either remain -3 or it may even reduce to negative maybe 2.9. The negative 2.9 would be as the small difference in reduction in floating loss would be as a result of the other profit realized, that small profit realized. It will help in maintaining the floating loss to be as small as possible. But at the same time, okay, okay, let me check on this one. I'm going to mute you for the first time. If you have a noisy background and then you unmute yourself again, then I remove. Please don't allow me to remove, because let's just understand. If you join in, mute yourself, okay? So that you don't interrupt or you don't affect the class. Now, that is with regard to Sabine mode. The Sabine mode majorly is intended to reduce or to cut off the floating loss, to reduce it to a smaller figure. And for as long as the robot sells, no position will be taken back to sports wallet until maybe finally the robot closes every position in profit. Okay, then now you'll see the capital back in your sports wallet. But for as long as you are within the within the sub-bin region, that's from the 5th call onwards, don't expect a revenue to be reflected when the robot sells. Okay, it will all remain in the coin. However, if your strategy mode is in the sub-bin mode real-time settlement, the word settlement means once the robot buys, let's say for example, what was on the coin was $100, and then the coin is floating at negative, let's say it is floating at -5%. Okay, if let's say for example you allow the robot to buy more with $100, this $100 is going to enable the floating loss to reduce by half, let's say to 2.5. Okay, now if the position amount, if that position that was bought was from the 5th call onwards, okay, because from 1st call to 4th call will always be treated as a single unit. For either this or even that will all be treated as a single unit. But the difference comes in between this and this is that when it comes to from the 5th call onwards, for Sabine mode real-time settlement, whenever the robot buys and it sells, whatever amount that was used for that position is taken back to your sports wallet, including the profit realized. Whereas for this one, Sabine mode strategy mode means that whatever amount that was used on the coin and the profit realized will not be taken back. Instead, it will be retained in the coin. But for Sabine mode real-time settlement, you'll be settled there and then, where as long as there is a sell, the robot has executed a sell order, it will actually give you your profit there and the capital used for that position. If it had bought the 5th call using $100 and then the floating loss reduced from -5 to -2.5, when it sells off, it will bring back the $100 it picked, including the profit realized, and then because it has brought back the capital and profit realized to your sports wallet, then the -2.5 that was reduced as a result of using, that $100 is going to go back to -5 again. Why? Because the position has been taken off. Okay, so the floating loss will go back to its original percentage, unless otherwise, unless maybe the market price is on a continuous rise, then we shall see a slight difference in reduction, maybe to -4 point something. But normally it tends to go back. It always goes back. Okay, it always goes back to the old percentage, right, of floating loss. So that is basically what you need to understand between these 3 strategy modes. So the best strategy mode here is if you want to enjoy some sub-sales, because most times the market price may really not go so much in your favor. There are points you will enter the market and then the market price, the market begins going against you seriously. Now, in such scenario, if you want to take advantage of the dipping market prices, set your robot onto the sub-bin mode real-time settlement. Let your strategy mode be in the sub-bin mode real-time settlement. Okay, that is it. And this one, you can only set this, all these two, you can only set them if you have set your margin call from 5 onwards, meaning the number of times you wish the robot to buy. For as long as it is from 5 and above, then you will be in position to set your strategy mode to sub-bin mode or sub-bin mode time settlement. But for as long as the number of margin calls is from 1 to 4, you cannot change your strategy mode to these two. It will remain in the wall warehouse. Okay? But if you want and you wish that your robot should buy more than 5 times or more than 4 times, that is from 5 and above, then you set your margin call to 5 so that the robot can buy here. Good night. Okay. So that is basically what you should do. That's what you should do. Okay. Keep your strategy. But good night. Good night. So that is it. That is it. That is with regard to the strategy mode. Okay. Now, another thing that most of the time some people tend to text me, find out what the problem is that you see this switch on margin call. Now, if you want your robot to buy position, always ensure that this one is on. Because a moment this one is turned off, don't expect the robot to buy. Even if the market price dips to the intended percentage you have set, the robot will not buy because the instruction here is telling it that it should not buy. By switching it off, meaning you're telling it not to buy. But if you want it to buy, always be checking here. If you think that your robot is not buying, come quickly and check on this margin call. Okay, provision for enabling the margin call. Check if it is on, like it is here. If it is not on, then you turn it on, and you will see your robot will buy. Sometimes this one closes automatically, especially if you wanted the robot to buy and the market price dips to that intended percentage you wanted it to buy at, and then it finds that there is insufficient capital. The amount left in the sports wallet is little compared to what you had set as your first buying amount. Now, in that instance, it closes automatically. Okay? It just closes automatically. It will close automatically. Okay? So meaning, if there's any need for any adjustment, and maybe you wanted it to use a smaller figure than the one you had put as your first buying amount, then you have to come and open it. And then the robot will buy. But if you don't open it, even if you reduce the figure to something that can be accommodated within the range, that means the robot still is not going to buy because here the instruction is telling it not to buy because it is off. Okay? So be checking on this. If you see your robot is not buying, come and check on this to see if it is enabled or disabled. Okay? It must be like this, not like that. Not like this. Okay? When it is like this, that means it is disabled. It has to be open. Another thing, AI margin call. AI margin call is good. Personally, I don't use it because AI margin call, sometimes once you enable it, it tends to affect so much that it tends to affect the operation of the robot in a way. How? Sometimes you may find that the market price has dipped by, say, if you had set your margin call drop, let's say at negative 3 point something. Let's say they had set it at negative 3 point, let's say 2. Okay? Even if the market price dips by 3.2, sometimes if the AI margin call is on, it will not actually execute any buy order, right? Here, it will always try and look for a possibility of giving you maximum dip. It will only buy at a point where it really feels it should buy, when the market price has dipped significantly. It will not sometimes obey whatever you have set there. So that's why in most cases I tend to recommend that let it be off so that it really follows it follows the instruction you're giving it, other than doing it at its own, free will. So you have to make sure it is off. Not make sure anyway. I prefer keeping mine off so that whatever instruction I'm going to give it with regards to the margin call drop, it should exactly execute it the way I've given the instruction. Not again, executing when it has not, okay, when it shouldn't. Okay. So the AI margin call should be off. This one should always be on as long as you want the robot to continue buying. Now, these other ones are just summary. These are just summaries, okay? These are summaries of what you would have set here in the trade settings. Those will be summaries of your trade settings. Okay? Like in this case, my summary, my first buying amount is 70, meaning that is the amount I would wish the robot to be picking from my sports wallet whenever it is executing a buy order. It has to pick 70. It's just like picking it and holding it in your hand that this is what I was instructed to pick. Before you buy, you first of all have to have it in the hand. So the first buying amount refers to the amount you have instructed the robot to be picking from your sports wallet whenever it wants to execute a buy order, right? Now, remember, it may pick 70, but at the end of it all, it may not use the 70. It may use less or more. Together, we shall check on it later. But this is the instruction. You want it to pick 70 and then follow the next, and then wait for the next instruction, what it will tell it to do. So that's why I'm saying it can pick 70 very well, but at the end of it all, when it is now buying, it may either use more USDT or it may use less USDT, depending on the instruction you have given it next. So the first instruction, pick 70. Second instruction, wait for it. And that is what we're going to look at. Okay? Yeah, so that is this first buying amount. Then the take profit ratio, this is the percentage of TP you would wish to take. When the market price rises by 2.1, after the robot buying with $70, you want the robot to sell. So I'll give you a profit of 2.1 of your $70. That's what it means. Margin call limit. This is the number of times you would wish the robot to buy. Here it is telling us only once. So meaning you're only taking consideration for the first call only. So meaning if the market price dips by the percentage set in the margin call drop of the first call, the robot is going to buy. And only once. And that is all. Then margin call drop. This is the profit callback. Okay. And this is a buying callback. Okay. So these are summaries of what you're going to look at here in the trade settings. Whenever you have set it, that is the summary. That is what it is going to be given there side. And as we can see here, this is what it means. Our first buying amount, we said it is 70. As I said, that if the instruction is that it should pick 70, at the end of it all, whatever amount it is going to use will depend on the instructions you're going to give it next. Like open position doubled. You see here, it has been disabled. But if I enable it, it means that after instructing the robot to pick my $70, okay, if I have opened this one here, it is going to double the 70 to multiply it by 2 to have a total of $140. So in actual sense, here the robot would have picked already $140 because here you told it to what? To double the position. You told it to double the position. So it means it is going to double this first buying amount before actually even buying. It will double it. But if this one is disabled the way it is, it will just pick your $70. Whenever it comes here and checks, it is disabled. It won't follow instruction there. It will wait for the next instruction. Okay? Yeah. But if it is enabled, it means it will pick 70, double it, and then wait for the next instruction before actually buying. Yeah. So that is that. I already told you about what AI margin call is. Margin call limit, I already told you it is the number of times you would wish the robot to buy or to execute buy orders for as long as the market price drops below the average price. Then wall position take profit ratio is the same as the TP, the take profit. Wall position take profit callback. Now, this is the part I want to explain a little bit. The wall position take take profit callback happens or works in this manner. Number one, remember the robot has been set in such a way that it is supposed to give you maximum profit as possible. So its work is to monitor the market and make sure that it gives you maximum profit. Now, if you have position take profit callback as a figure like the way it is, it means it may have an effect on the TP. It is going to have an effect on the take profit ratio or the position, the percentage, the take profit percentage. How is it going to influence or how is it going to affect it? Remember, the robot is going to monitor the market as it is rising up. Here it is. Assume this is a 2.1% rise. What the robot is going to do is it is going to, as it is monitoring the market price rise, it is going to be monitoring for this opportunity. Is there a point that you are going to see where the market price is going to drop slightly and the drop is by 0.01? That is what the robot will be waiting to do. Okay. Okay. So okay, so the wall position take profit callback will always affect the take profit. How? The robot will monitor the rise in the market price, okay? But at the same time as it is monitoring, it is waiting for an opportunity where the price may want to begin dropping and the drop is by 0.1. That is when it is going to sell. And imagine if we had here maybe 0.5 as our take wall position take profit callback, and our take profit is 2.5. Let's assume it was, okay, it is 2.1. It means that what the robot is going to do is from the point of entry, from the average price, the robot is going to monitor the rise in the market price. If the rise is by 2.1, and then suddenly we see a dip, a drop, if we're beginning to see a drop, the robot is not going to sell at 2.1 the way it is, the way it was set. The robot is going to monitor and see if the drop is by 0.5, that's when it is going to sell. But if the drop is less than 0.5, it is not going to sell. It will continue monitoring the market. So its work is to monitor the market and look for maximum profit possibility. Okay, maximum opportunity for giving you profit. That is, it looks for that opportunity for giving you maximum profit. That is the one scenario. So it means if the market price rises from here, it rises by 2.1 and then begins dropping down. The robot is going to wait. This is 2.1, right? Now, if the drop is by 0.5, the robot is going to sell minus the 0.5. So you're going to have 2.1 minus 0.5. This would be about 1.6%. So it means the robot in this case will give you 1.6% instead of 2.1. Okay. Okay. So basically, that's what it means. That is what it means. But then it is advantageous for a market price that is very volatile, a market price that is pumping seriously. All right. When the price is, once the market is pumping, the market of a given coin is pumping, it becomes to your advantage. How? Imagine you had set your take profit at 2.1, but this time the market price rose by 2.1 and it dropped less than 0.5. Then it rose again and dropped less than 0.5. It rose again, and maybe this time, maybe that's when it drops by 0.5. Imagine that from here to here is 10% rise. What the robot is going to do is, yours is 2.1. Since drop is less than 0.5, okay? the same applies to this one, is also less than 0.5, the robot is going to continue monitoring. And even if it rises by 10%, then it begins dropping, the robot is going to say, okay, how much percentage did it rise? The 10%. What was the margin call drop? 0.5. So it will say 10 minus 0.5, giving you 9.5% in profit. So it will give you maximum profit compared to if you had only put here a 0. Because if it was a 0, once the TP is hit, it sells automatically. It won't monitor. It will just sell, okay, once the take profit is hit. But once you have a figure here, the robot is going to take keen interest in monitoring the market and making sure it gives the maximum profit for as long as the price of that coin is rising. All right. So literally, that's what it means. That's what that simply means. Okay. And then, so it is always recommended here. You can put a small figure. There's no problem. A small figure, or you can even put a 0. If you want exactly this TP, this take profit, if you want exactly the way it is, you can put a 0 here. But if you want the robot to give you a chance of more profit, if the price rises up, put some figure here so that it can continue monitoring. As long as the drop is not by 0.01, it will not sell. So it will continue monitoring the rise. Like that. Okay. Then we have margin configuration. Now, margin configuration is a part that works alongside the margin call limit. The margin configuration is where you give individual instructions. Now, you want the robot to buy one time. When should it buy? And how many times should it buy? You come and do, this is where you make the adjustments. Okay, so let's go there. Margin configuration. So the other side, you're telling the robot, you have instructed the robot to buy once. Okay, you want it to buy once. Now, at what percentage would you want the robot to buy when the market price drops? And how many times do you want it to buy? So that is what we call margin call drop and multiple buy-in ratio. If the robot bought a coin, all right, and this is the average price established, right? If the market price drops by 0.52, you expect the robot to buy. It will buy. But how many times would you want it to buy? You're saying it is one time. So it will pick what you have set as your first buying amount, which in that case is 70. Then it will come with it and check here. What is it telling me? How many times at one time? Then it will if it was 2 times, it was going to multiply by 2. If it was 4 times, it will multiply by 4. Together. So you give individual instructions under the margin configuration. You give individual instruction for each and every part of which you expect the robot to buy, to make a buy order. You have to give instruction. At what percentage do you want it to buy if the market price drops, right? What percentage? And also, you can also determine the number of times you want the robot to buy. Okay. All right. Then this buy-in callback works alongside the instruction you have given here under the margin configuration. The buy-in callback works alongside this, the margin call drop. Buy-in callback. Now, the buy-in callback still, the robot is going to monitor how deep the market price is going to go. If you have a figure like 0.5 here, as we can see, this is 0.5. It means the instruction here, you told the robot to buy, let's say 1.02 times. What the robot is going to do is it is going to monitor this market. As the market price is going down, it is looking for an opportunity where it will have a reverse of 0.5%. That's when it is going to buy. Okay. So it will continue monitoring. If it continues going down, it is still going to monitor until a point is reached where there's a slight rise of 0.5. That's when it will buy. Okay. So the buy and callback works alongside the margin call drop. The whole position take profit callback works alongside the whole position take profit ratio. As simple as that. Okay. Now the strategy period refers to the strategy period actually refers to your trading strategy. How you'd want the robot to trade for you. Do you want it to trade continuously, automatically, buying and selling, or you want it to just buy and sell, buy once and sell? You just want it to buy and sell once. Okay, that is also another thing. That's one other thing you can do. You can decide to sell, buy once, and then once you sell, don't buy again. So if you want it like that, you want the robot to buy, and then once it sells, it doesn't buy again, you change it to one shot. If you want the robot to sell to buy, and after selling, if it buys again automatically without your intervention, then you can tap on this part and change to cycle. Simply tap on it and change to cycle. Let it be in cycle. Okay. So as simple as that. That is the part that is on the coin. That is the part that is on the coin. The next thing we are going to do, which you're going to learn on Wednesday, is now the settings. The settings on the coin. We already know what this other different parameter means, what they are used for. So in the next call, we shall talk about the settings now. When you already open a coin which you want to trade and you're already on this page, how do you set them up? How do you distribute? How do you manage your wallet? How do you really make sure that you apportion accordingly, and maximize profit at the same time? So that's what we shall do in our next call. Okay. Okay. I hope it has been amazing. I hope you got something, you learned something. This recording will be available. You can go over it again, and then we'll see what happens. But in the next call, we're now going to go into real settings and setting up trade. Please, I beg to end here today, and we shall catch up on Wednesday. Okay, in our next class. Yeah. Okay. Have a good night for today. I will not open up for questions. We shall share more when we are doing things practically. Yeah, in the next call, because that is where there's more practicals now. A lot of practical and a lot of questions and answer there. How to set up, how to do what. So that will be in the next one. From me to you, have a good night. See you in the next call. Okay? Yeah.
Good night. Thank you, Coach. Good night.
You're welcome.